Okay, hi students, how are you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Okay,
hear you.
okay, thank you very much. So welcome in another class of the performance management. In last class, we have discussed about the traditional absorption costing and the activity-based costing. Now, first of all, we will do some practice questions on this topic, including a long constructive question and the OT question as well. Then we will move towards another new topic, uh, which is a target costing. So, first of all, you can see a question number 279 on your screen. But before I start this question, let me tell you the question related to this topic, which is absorption costing and ABC costing. These are not expected to be tested in your section C of the area of your exam paper area. But we're doing this long question so we can develop a better understanding of these topics, and it would be useful for section A and section B, where 40% can be tested from this area. So the name of the question is GADGET. It is from December 2010. So the G company produces three products, A, B, and C, and all made from the same material. Until now, it has used traditional absorption costing to allocate overhead to its products. The company is now considering an activity-based costing system in a hope that it will improve profitability. Information for these three products for the last year is as follows. Production and sale volume in units of A and B and C, 15, 12, and 18,000 respectively. Selling price per unit. Then you have raw material usage, kg per unit, direct labor hour per unit, machine hours per unit, then number of production runs per annum, number of purchase orders per annum, and number of deliveries to retailers per annum. The price of the raw material remained constant throughout the year at 1.2 per kg. Similarly, the direct labor for the whole workforce was $14.8 per hour, and annual overhead costs were as follows. Machine setup cost 26,550, machine running cost 66,400, procurement cost 48,000, and delivery cost 54,320. Now, the requirement. The first requirement is to calculate the full cost per unit of a product ABC under traditional absorption costing, using direct labor R as the basis for a portion. And the second part is to calculate the full cost per unit of each product using activity-based cost. So we need to use, first of all, traditional absorption costing method. Then we will use the activity-based costing system. Okay. We have product A, product B, and product C. And we are going to calculate the full cost. First of all, we are going to determine full cost of the product under absorption cost. Now, when we say the product cost, especially in a manufacturing company, that means that cost, the product cost, the production cost will be consist of the cost of raw material, then the cost of direct labor, and then the factory overhead. So these three elements determine the cost of the product, and we determine the cost per unit. Now, first of all, if we talk about the raw material, ABC requires 2, 3, and 4 kg of raw material, and the price of the raw material is $1 to $1.2 per kg. So, for product A, it will be 2 into 1.2. For product C, if B, it will be 3 into 1.2. And for product C, it will be 4 kg into 1.2. So that would be the raw material cost per unit. And it is in terms of dollar per unit. Then we need direct labor cost per unit. And the direct labor cost is, we need 0.1, 0.15, and 0.2 R. And the rate is 14.8. So we put to 0.1 into rate, which is 14.8 R. So that will be the direct labor cost. Then for B, we need 0.15 R per product. And the rate of the labor is 14.8 hours. That will be $2.2 per unit. And for product C, we require 0.21 into 14.8. So these are the direct labor and direct material cost. And direct labor and direct material cost are also known as prime cost. So this is the prime cost per unit, direct labor plus direct material. Now we need to allocate the factory overhead. And first of all, we are allocating the factory overhead using the traditional absorption costing method. Traditional absorption costing method. Now, in a question, the overall overhead cost is given department wise or activity wise. That is the overhead cost. And in absorption costing, we will use the direct labor hour as an activity to determine the overhead rate and to allocate the overhead rate. Now, first of all, we will sum up the overhead cost. So total overhead cost is, we have machine setup cost, we have machine running cost, machine running cost. Then we have procurement cost, and we have delivery cost. And you have in dollar, we have 26,550, 26,550 for procurement, 66,400 for machine running cost, 48,000 for procurement cost, and 54,320 for delivery cost. And the total overhead are 1,95,207. Now we need total labor hour. Now, coming back to the question, the activity of A and B is 15, 12, and 18,000. So for product A, the production will be 15,000, and each unit needs 0.1 hour. The product B will be 12,000 units and production, and each unit will require 0.15, and then the product C is 18,000 units and into 0.2 hours. So total labor hours are 6,900 and total overheads are $195,270. Now the overhead absorption rate will be total overhead divided by total activity, which is in terms of labor. So the per hour rate is $28.3. Now this $28.3, now we need to allocate to each product, and these will be allocated as per the consumption of the labor hour. So the unit A is using 0.1 labor hour, and the overhead absorption rate is 28.3 per hour. So 2.83 will be allocated to A. The product B is using 0.15 hour, and the product C is using 0.2 hour. So that would be the allocation of factory overhead using absorption cost. Now the total production cost under the absorption costing will be as follows. For product A, it will be 6.71, and for product B and C will be 10.07 and 13.4. That is the allocation using the overhead, factory overhead using the absorption costing system, where we use a single activity to absorb the overhead in each product. In each product. Any question? Yes, students. Any question? You got it? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You got the concept, you got the calculation? Now, the same thing now we will do using the activity-based costing system. The activity-based costing is an alternative modern approach to absorb the factory overhead. And it is more logical, it is more accurate than and more reliable than traditional absorption costing system. And we discussed the reasons in the last class. And now we will perform the ABC using the same data. Now in ABC costing system, you first of all need to identify certain things. First of all, like you have to identify the cost driver, and you need to identify the cost pool. Cost, you need to identify the cost pool and cost driver. Now the cost pool is the total cost of a specific activity. Like if we have this question, in this question, we have the cost pool, which is machine setup cost, then machine running cost, then procurement, and then delivery cost. So we have cost pool. The first is machine setup cost, then machine running cost, then delivery cost, procurement cost, and then delivery cost. These are the cost pools. And then we need to identify the cost driver. The cost driver is something which drives the cost in a particular cost pool. Now, if you look at the question, the cost pool for machine setup cost would be number of production runs per annum. Number of production run or runs per annum. That would be the appropriate cost driver for machine setup cost. More you have a production run, more you need the machine setup. For machine running cost, the machine hours would be the appropriate cost driver. For procurement cost, the cost driver would be from the question appropriate would be purchase order. Purchase order. And for delivery would be the number of deliveries. Number of deliveries would be the appropriate cost driver. Now, in EPC costing system, we need to determine for each cost tool its individual absorption rate. Now, if we talk about the cost of machine setup, that is 26550, and numbers of total production run. If you look at the question, the production run for A is 16, then 12 for B, and 8 for C. 16, 12, and 8. So 16, 12, and 8 total production run for the machine setup cost, and these are 36. Now you can calculate the cost of production setup cost per setup or per machine run is $737.5 per set or per production run, because the cost driver which we have used for machine setup cost is a production run. For machine running cost, the total cost is 66,400. And the appropriate cost driver for that is machine hours. And 0.5, 0.7, and 0.9 are the machine hours per unit for A, B, C. So for product A, which has total production of 15,000, the machine hours required is 0.5. Is 0.5. The B production and units sold are 12,000 and 0.7 machine hours. So 12,000 into 0.7 for B. And for product C, the demand and the production would be 18,000. And per unit required 0.9 machine hours. So 32,100 would be the total machine hours. And the running cost per machine hour will be 2.069. Then for procurement, the total cost is 48,000. And the number of cost driver would be the purchase order. And the purchase orders are 24, 28, and 42. 24 plus 28 and plus 42. 94. And the per cost driver cost will be 510.6. And for deliveries, the total cost is 54,320, and that will be the number of sale orders. And those are 48, 30, and 62. 48 plus 30 and plus 62. And the per cost driver, it will be 388. 388. So this is the cost per cost driver, relevant cost driver. So this is the first step to identify cost pool, then cost drivers, then the total cost of the each pool and the total activity of the cost driver, and determine the overhead rate for that particular cost pool. Now, as you know, we have three products, product A, B, and C. Now we need to calculate the overhead cost using the ABC. So we have again machine setup cost, machine running cost, procurement cost, and delivery cost. Now, first of all, machine setup cost. Per driver, it is 737.5. And for product A, the number of production runs we are using is 16. Again, 737.5. The number of production runs we are using for product B are 12. And for C, we are using 8 setup production runs. 8 into 737.5. So this is the machine setup cost allocated to each product as per the activity usage. Then machine run cost per hour, machine hour is 2.069. 2.069. And the total number of hours used by the product A is 0.5 machine hours into total production of A, and this will be the 15,514 allocated to A. Then for B, 2.069. The number of units for B are 12,000 and into 0.7 per unit machine hour. So this will be allocated to B, and for C we have 18 and 0.9. So for product C, this is a per machine rate, and total unit produced are 18,000 and per unit required 0.9 machine hour. So that would be the cost of the machine running cost that would be allocated to the each product. Then we have procurement, that is 510.6, and if you remember the number of purchase orders for the product A, they were 24, 28, and 42. 24 per order into 24. Then for B, into 28. And for C, that would be 42. This is how we will allocate the procurement cost. Now the delivery cost. Now, per delivery, we have 388. And number of deliveries for A are 48, 30, and 62. 48, and for B, number of deliveries are 30. And for C, it is 66. So here we have allocated the overhead to each product using the activity-based costing. Now the total overhead allocated to each product is the sum. It is for A, for B, and for C. Now you need a rate per unit. Now for A, it will be 58,193 divided by 15,000. For B, divided by 12,000. And for C, divided by 18,000. So here we have overhead absorbed per unit. And this absorption is using the activity-based cost. Now you need raw material cost, that will remain the same, 2.4, 3.6, 2.4, 3.6, and 4.8. It will remain same here. Same as we have in absorption cost. Direct material and direct labor will remain same in both systems. And direct labor cost, for A we have 2.83. For B we have 4.245. And for C we have 5.66. No, 2 or just a minute. For B it will be 2.22. And for C it will be 2.96. So these are the values of raw material direct labor, which we are saying as in we are traditional costing. And the thing which is different is the overhead absorption rate per unit in an ABC costing system. So the total production cost per unit will be 9.11 for A, and for B and C it will be 10.17 and 12.48. 12.4. So that was the first requirement to calculate cost per unit, total production cost per unit using absorption costing and using activity based cost. Now, if you have any question, please ask the question. Let me know so we can verify the thing. Yes, do you have any question? Yes, you are. Do you have any question? For A, it should be one. Let me check. Let me check. Yes, my mistake. That is 1.48. So rectify. It should be 1.48. Okay, good. That means you all are attentive. Great. So hopefully you have now the better idea of the difference between ABC and the traditional absorption costing system. Okay. Now there is another requirement using the calculation from A and B. Explain how ABC costing may help the G to improve the profitability of the company of the each product side. Now, first of all, for that purpose, let's have a sale price of the product, which is for A, it is 7.5. Let me take the sale price. For A, it is 7.5. For B, 12. And for B, 12. And for C, it is 30. Now, in ABC costing, the profitability is 7.5 minus 7.76. So A is a loss making and B and C are profitable products. And if we want to check this in absorption costing, then take a sale price 7.5 and deduct the full production cost of the A product, which is 6.7. So that is the data you have. Now it would be easy for us to assess that how ABC is more useful to improve the profitability of the each product. Now, first of all, in an absorption costing system, there is a limitation. The absorption costing system does not recognize that different products using the overhead with different patterns. Instead, in absorption costing, we just take one activity and we absorb the overhead on the basis of that activity. Whether the overhead cost is directly related to that activity or not. In absorption costing, we do not consider that. In ABC, we allocate overhead with more logical way, using the relevant cost pool with relevant cost drivers. So ABC will result in better costing of the product. And you can see the impact. If we talk about the impact on product A, in absorption costing, the product A was profitable. That means in the absorption costing, we were allocating less overheads to the product A in traditional costing system as compared to ABC. That was not appropriate. So the product A was profitable in the absorption costing system. But when we allocate the overhead in a more logical way, or you can say in a more appropriate way, you can see the product A has become now loss-making. So that is the impact on the profitability of the product of using the ABC. And in a product B, under absorption costing, we will having slight difference, but in absorption costing, the profitability was better than ABC. Because the reason is that in absorption costing system, overheads are not allocated in an appropriate way. And the product C was a loss making in an absorption costing, but it is profitable in a activity-based costing system. So when you use the ABC, you have now a real picture that which product is actually a loss making and which product is actually making a profit. So if you can have such data, then obviously management is in a better position to assess the performance of the product and to take a decision to rectify that. Absorption costing, under absorption costing, this thing is not possible because that is not an appropriate way to allocate the overhead. Okay? So this thing we will explain in the third requirement. We can just a minute. So we can see here as well. For product A, the unit cost of product A is 16% higher under ABC as opposed to absorption costing. Under ABC, it is 7.76 per unit compared to 6.71 under traditional costing. This is particularly significant given that selling price of the product A is 7.5. This means when the activities that give rise to overhead costs for product A are taken into account, the product A is actually making a loss. And if company wants to improve the profitability, it should look to either increase the selling price of the product A or somehow reduce the cost. And delivery costs are also high, with 48 deliveries a year being made for product A. Maybe company could seek further efficiency here. Also, machine setup costs are higher for product A than for any of the other products due to the larger number of production runs. The reason for this need to be identified, and if possible, the number of production runs need to be reduced. So when you use the ABC, you have taken account the cost level, and that is more appropriately determine the cost of the product. And when you have a real picture using the ABC, now you can see the product A is a loss making. So now you are in a better position to identify the factors through which you can improve the profitability of the product A. That obviously either you can increase the sale price or either you can reduce the activities consumed by others. And the deliveries and the production runs are mostly used by the product A here. So if we reduce these two activities and improve achieve some efficiency there, then obviously it will help us to improve the profitability of that. If we talk about the product B, the difference between the ABC cost for the product B opposed to traditional cost is quite small. You can see there is no much difference between ABC and absorption costing in a product B. So it is not point of the concern. We are still profitable in a product B, either using the ABC. But the product C, which was in absorption costing, showing a loss, but in ABC, the cost of the product C is less than the cost under the traditional cost. And you can see, instead of making a loss in the ABC, we are making profit. We are making profit. And the reason is that when we are using the absorption costing, we were not taken into account that C is not using much activities of the business as compared to A and B. So when we use the ABC, when C is using less activities, then the less overheads are allocated to C in the ABC. In the ABC as compared to absorption cost. That's why in ABC, the product C is profitable as compared to under absorption cost. Okay. So now they have the actual data. Now they can take the steps to improve the profitability of A. They can, if they see, if they can conclude that they cannot take any steps to improve the profitability of the A, then they can decide to discontinue A and continue to C. And if they haven't used the ABC, they may discontinue C. They discontinue C instead of A. And if they discontinue the product C because that is loss making under absorption costing, what would happen? It will bring a worse impact on a customer because we discontinue the B. We were actually using the less overhead. So A is still there with the higher overhead. So after the discontinuation of the C, you would find that the A has become more lossless. So ABC definitely helps us to improve the profitability of the each product. So that was the long question of ABC. But this type of the question of ABC, we cannot expect we have in a section C of this one. Instead, the ABC is more like in a section A or section B of the paper. So let's have some questions from section A and section B as well. Okay, here we have. Okay, first of all, we have question 29. The first question is question number 29. So company produce a range of products, and uses absorption costing system. And use absorption costing system. Which two of the following are unlikely to be the consequence of company switching to an ABC system? Unlikely. Which two of the following are unlikely to be a consequence of a company switching to ABC? Number one, the indirect overhead will be shared between products on fair basis. If we switch to ABC, is it unlikely that indirect overheads will be shared between products on a fair basis? It is less likely or more likely? Yes, students. Is it less likely or more likely? it is more likely that overhead will be allocated on more fair basis. So the first is not the answer. First is not the answer. Now, number two, product pricing decision will be improved. It is more likely when you use the ABC, the pricing decision obviously will improve. So the second is also not the answer. The prime production cost of each product will fall. It is not, it is not likely because in ABC, we allocate indirect cost. We allocate indirect cost. And prime production costs are the direct cost. So whether we are using ABC or whether we are using the absorption costing, it has nothing to do with the prime cost. So it is not likely. So one option which is correct is the third option. But we need two options. Now the number four, the cost control on a direct overhead will be will be harder to achieve. No, if we use the ABC, it would be more easy to control the overhead. When we know the cause of the overhead in a form of cost driver and cost field, then it is more likely that we can control the overhead as compared to the absorption cost. So the third and fourth statement are correct statements. These two statements are unlikely. The consequence of switching from absorption costing to ABC. Got it?
Yes.
Now, question number 30. Okay, read the question 30 and tell me the answer. Which is the inspection cost per unit of product alpha using ABC? You have 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes to give the answer. Read the question and let me know the answer. I'm giving you some time. Okay. Did you determine the answer? So they make alpha and beta. 80. Okay. Let me check. The cost pool is inspection cost, and this is the total cost. And the cost driver is the inspection per batch. And these are the products you produce per batch. So for alpha, you need 5 batches. And for beta, you need 8 batches. So total number of batches will be 30. Now the total inspection cost is 2,50,000 divided by 13 batches. Just a minute, no, and we need okay. The 5 are the batches for alpha and 8 for beta. And for alpha, you need 4 inspections per batch. So number of inspections in alpha will be 20. And for beta, you need 1 inspection per batch. So for beta, number of inspections will be 8. So it is total 28. And 2,50,000 is the total inspection cost. So divided by 28. Now find out the per inspection cost. 2,50,000 divided by 28. And if you calculate this, it will be 8928.57. 8928.57 is the per inspection cost. Per inspection cost. That's 8929 approximately. Yeah. Now the number of inspection in a zeta, in a alpha, sorry, we are talking about alpha, are 20. So 20 into 89, 29, okay. And divided by the number of products of alpha, which is 2,500. Now if you solve it, 20 into 89 29 divided by 2,500. It would be 71.43. 71.43. So option C is the answer. Option C is the answer. 71.43 precisely. Got it? No problem, no problem. That's why we are doing that. Okay, question 31. What's the right option? Which of the following statements are true regarding the ABC and cost driver? The cost driver is any factor that causes a change in the cost of an activity. Yes, that's true. For long-term variable overhead cost, the cost driver will be the same, will be the volume of activity. Yes. Yes. Traditional absorption costing tends to under-allocate overhead cost to low volume products. Yes. If the volume we are selecting is less used by any product, obviously, then there will be a under allocation, under allocation, under allocation. So that means we have option statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. All of these three statements are correct. So the option D will be the answer. Okay, question 32. A company makes product A and B. It is experimenting with ABC costing. Production setup cost of 12, and there will be total production will be 20,000 units of the each product of A and B, and each run 1,000 units of A and 5,000 units of B. Now, first of all, you need to calculate the using the ABC. What is the setup cost per unit for A? First of all, you need to calculate the cost driver. So for A, the 20,000 units, and each run is consists of 1,000. So there will be 20 runs of A, and B will also be 20,000, and it requires 5,000 units in a run. So it will be 4. It will be 4. So you have total 24 runs. So the total cost is 12,000 divided by 24. So 12,000 divided by 24, you will get $500 per setup. Now A has total 20 runs, 20 into 500. 20 into 500 will give you total 10,000 cost, and number of units in A are 20,000. So 10,000 divided by 20,000, 0.5 will be the answer. $10,000 divided by number of units of A, which is 25. Got it? Any question? Which of the following statements is or are true relating to ABC? Statement A, a cost pool is an activity which consumes resource and for which overhead costs are identified and allocated. And statement 2 is ABC overhead absorption rate is calculated in the same way as absorption costing. Okay. And will result in the same overhead absorption rate. Now, obviously, the second statement is false. It's a false statement. So every option which contains 2 cannot be the answer. So only the first statement is the correct statement. Option A will be the answer. ABC and traditional absorption costing will not result in the same overhead absorption rate. There will be a different overhead absorption rate. These are two different methods. Okay, do you people have this kit? And I'm sharing this script in a chat box, okay? I think we don't have this WhatsApp group at the moment. So I'm sharing the script and go towards Zoom, okay? You can download it from the chat box. Hopefully you will get in a few minutes. Now from question number 34, I'm giving you a homework for your activity. From 34,
Hello.
starting from 34,
Can you hear me?
till question 40 is your homework. Yes, please repeat.
Yes,
From question, yes,
the
your voice is very low.
question was lost. Oh, now can you hear me now?
No, it's not clear. Can you use the chat box?
I'm sending a message.
Yes, please send a message. Okay, okay, I am uploading the exam kit in a meeting chat, in a Zoom chat box. It is uploading. It will take few minutes and then it will be available in a meeting chat. And from the meeting chat, you can download. Okay, you will download it from the chat box here. And starting from question number 34 till the 40, till the question number 40 will be your home task. Okay, students. Now we will take a break for 10 minutes. And then after the break, we will resume the class with the new topic. Okay? So kindly take a break. Okay, students, welcome back. So now we are going to start another topic, another concept, and it is known as target target cost. Now, first of all, what is the background of the target cost? Traditionally speaking, in a conventional industrial time, uh, when there was not much competition, the company's focus was not on cost reduction. Other than that, whatever cost they incur, they transfer the cost to the customer. If they have incurred $10 cost, they will add their markup and sell the product to the customer. If the cost is $12, they will add the markup and transfer the cost to the customer. But with the development in our industry, with increase in trade uh, among the different countries, with multinational companies opening around the globe, there was increase in competition. And when there was increase in competition or there is an increase in competition, then that means you cannot sell a product above a certain price. So target costing, the concept of the target costing is for you can say an industry or a market where you cannot increase your sale price. If you increase the sale price, the customer has a number of choices. They have a lot of choices to change their supply. They can move to another product. They have substitutes. So you cannot increase the price. So in a very competitive environment, the entity, the company, the manufacturer, or the seller cannot increase the sale price. Now, for example, the company knows that they cannot sell a product more than a $20 price. If they increase the sale price more than 20, even at 20.1, the customer has a choice. The customer can change its supplier very easily and can move towards a new seller. So, in a competitive environment, you cannot increase the sale price. So, what you have now in your hand? Now you know that your sale price is $20. Now you will deduct your target profit which you want to earn, and the difference which you will get will be known as a target cost. Now, for example, if the sale price is $20 and you cannot increase the sale price, but you want to make a profit from the product, let's say $4, that means now your target cost, now your target cost is $16. Now you have set the cost target that you want to make this product within 16 US dollars. That is your wish, that is your target cost which you want to achieve. Okay, and this concept is known as target cost. Now, this is your target cost. But there is another thing in this topic that is known as a cost gap, which is known as a cost gap. The cost gap is a difference between expected cost and your target cost. Now, for example, if we continue with this example, your target cost is $16. But when you calculated the expected cost at the moment is 18. That means you have a cost gap of $2. Now, what is the meaning of cost gap? The meaning of the cost gap means if you do not minimize your cost gap, then you cannot earn your required profit. Because to earn a required profit, you have to manufacture your product or you have to provide the service at the cost of $16 because you cannot increase the sales price. So if your cost is 18, then your profit will be $2, not $4. And you would not be able to earn your target profit. So you will, first of all, you will calculate your target cost. Then you will determine your cost gap, which is the expected cost minus target cost. Cost gap. And then, after identifying the cost gap, you will make such strategies which can minimize this cost gap. Like, for example, you may have to renegotiate with your supplier of raw materials over the price of the raw material, that the raw material price should be reduced. So if you get a discount on a raw material price, then you can minimize the cost gap. You have to reconsider the designing of the product, and you have to remove the feature from the product which are not value addition. So when you reduce the feature which are not value addition in a product, it will reduce the cost and minimize the cost gap. You may have to renegotiate it with your labor force so you can achieve a better labor rate in order to get the cost down and minimize the cost gap. And sometimes you have to reconsider your production process because sometimes your production process is causing high production cost. And if you redesign or restructure your production process, it would help the company to reduce the cost gap on an expected cost, and resulting they will help to minimize the cost gap. So in a short, you have to make such strategies which helps you to minimize the cost gap in order to earn your target profitability. And as I am telling you in my example, if your sale price is 20 and your profit requirement is 4, then you have to complete the product within $16. And if you are taking more cost, the difference will be the cost gap. and you have to make the strategies to minimize that cost gap. And this concept is known as target costing. Got it? Any question? So, question 41. In target costing, which of the following would be an appropriate strategy to reduce the cost gap for the product that existed in a competitive industry with demanding shareholders, with demanding shareholders, and obviously in a competitive industry. Number one, the first option is increase the selling price. Now tell me, can we increase the selling price? Can we increase the selling price in a competitive industry? No, we cannot increase the selling price. So A is not the answer. Number B, reduce the expectation gap by reducing the selling price. Now, dear student, the cost gap, we are talking about the cost gap. And cost gap is a difference between expected cost and target cost. The cost gap has nothing to do with the selling price. So B is also not the answer. B is also not the answer. C, reducing the desired margin on a product. C could be the answer, but in a question it is written the shareholders are demanding. So if you reduce the product margin, then returns of the shareholder would be affected. So it is also not possible. The D, machinizing the production or mechanizing the production in order to reduce the average production cost. Yes, that would be the most appropriate strategy. That we try to make strategies that decrease our expected production cost. And if our expected production cost is decreased, then the cost gap will also reduce. So D would be the right answer. Got it? Okay. Okay, now let me tell you, the file has been uploaded in a chat box. In this chat box, the file has been uploaded. 𝐀𝐂𝐿 exam kit, you can download it. Okay. Now question number 42. Which of the following strategies would be an immediately acceptable method to reduce the identified cost gap? Again, to reduce the cost gap, you have to reduce the expected cost. Now, what could be the appropriate strategy? reduce the desired margin without discussion with business owners, that would not be appropriate. Without consultation from business owner, you should not reduce the margin. Reduce the predicted selling price. Again, cost gap has nothing to do with the selling price. C, source similar quality material from another supplier at reduced cost. And D, increase the predicted selling price. Again, selling price has nothing to do with the cost gap. Yes, the C is the answer. If you can source cheaper raw material of the same quality, then it would be a great strategy to reduce the expected cost. And if you reduce the expected cost, then automatically the cost gap will also reduce. There will be also a reduction in the cost gap. Got it? Yes, Puran. Okay, I will try to upload the text as well. Now the question number 3. The predicted selling price for the product has been set $56 per unit. The desired markup on a cost is 25%. Okay. So the sale price is 56. Sale price is 56 and desired markup is 25%. And markup means 56 divided by 125 into 25. And that would be 11.2. So your target cost 56 minus 11.2 would be $44.8. Okay. Now the material cost. So this is your target cost. Now the material cost for the product estimated to be material cost. Material cost is $16. Before allowing for additional material for shrinking of 20%, that means for every 10 kg material going in, only 8 kg material is coming out. Okay. So this is the value of 8 kg. So you have to input 10 kg of material. So 16 divided by 8 into 10. So your raw material cost will be $20. Okay. Now, if labor is the only other cost, and 2 are needed, what is the most businesses can pay per labor hour if the cost gap to be avoided? Now look at the total target cost is 44.8 and material cost is 20. So out of 44.8, 20 will be taken by the material. So remaining cost which we need to incur in order to avoid the cost gap is 24.8. Now in the question it is being told that the labor is the only factor and each unit requires 2 hours. So what rate we should pay per hour to avoid the cost gap. So divided by 2, 34.8, the answer will be $12.4. So you should pay $12.4 to avoid the cost gap. So the cost gap is equal to expected cost minus target cost. The target cost is 44.8. Now, if our expected cost consists of material, which is $20, and we need 2 hours to make a product, and per hour rate is 12.4, so the labor cost will be 24.8. So the expected cost will also be 44.8. In that way, cost gap will be 0. So $12.4 per hour would be the rate. We haven't studied the theory of the variance analysis, and we have a question 44 from the theory. But let's do it, and then inshallah, in the next class, we will be discussing the theory of the target costing as well. So the question is, which of the following technique is not relevant to target costing? Now, basically, we're talking about the technique through which we can reduce the cost gap, cost gap. Now, there are 4 techniques which are given in an option: value analysis, variance analysis, functional analysis, and activity analysis. And let me tell you, answer is variance analysis. Variance analysis is not a technique which is relevant to target costing. The variance analysis is relating to planning and controlling activity, where we have some budget and we have actual result and we compare to identify the variance analysis. As we have maybe studied in basic study, material price variance, material usage variance, labor rate variance, labor efficiency variance. So variance is relating to the planning activity, the control activity, not related to target costing. The remaining 3 relating to target costing, like value analysis. Value analysis is basically an analysis which we conduct to identify that which features are adding value in a product for which customer is ready to pay, and which features are not adding a value in a product and customer is not paying anything or does not bother about those features. Through value analysis, we remove the feature from the product, those features which are not valued by the customer. In that way, we can reduce the expected cost. So value analysis is an way or technique which we use in a target costing. Similarly, functional analysis and activity analysis is also used. In functional analysis, we identify that through which function, improving the function or activities, we can reduce the cost gap. So A, C, and D are relevant. We will talk about when we study the theory of this topic. But B is not relevant to the target costing. So the answer of the question 44 will be the option B. Question 45. Question number 45. Please calculate the cost, target cost. The selling price is 250 for coming year, and 500 units expected to be sold. company requires 15% return on a investment of $250,000 in a product of GADGET. And the question is to calculate the target cost or target cost first. So you are going to sell 500 units, and the sale price of each unit is 250 first of all. So it will give you $125,000 total revenue. And your total return required on the investment on this product, your total profit margin required should be equivalent to 15% of the total investment, which is $250,000. So if you take the 15% of $250,000, your target profit is 37,500 is your target profit. 15% of 250. So 1,25,000 is your total cost, total revenue, and you want to earn 37,500. So if you take the difference, minus 37,500, your target cost, total target cost is 87,500, and you need per unit. So you will divide it by 500. So the answer is yes, 175 is your answer. 175 is your answer. Okay, which of the following describe the characteristics of the services provided by an optician and VC company during the standard appointment? Services. We're talking about services. Dear students, if we talk about the services, okay, first of all, we have to. Okay, VC company is a company of opticians who provide a range of service to a public such as eye test, contact lens consultation, and has separate dispensary selling glasses, contact lenses, patient book appointment with an optician in advance. The standard appointment is 30 minutes long, during which optician will assess the patient's specific requirement and provide them with the eye care service they need. After the appointment, patients are offered the chance to buy contact lens or glasses from the dispensary. So, what are the characteristics of the service? A is tangible? No, it is not the answer. We are providing services, and services are intangible. They are not tangible. Homogeneous? Are they providing services of same type to all customers? No. They are providing different sort of services depending upon the patient requirement. Okay? Different patient have some different eye issues. Someone want lens, someone want glasses, so they are not homogeneous. Demand is not homogeneous. Non-perishable. No, services are perishable. Tangible assets are not perishable. So C is not also the answer. Simultaneous. Yes, this is the answer. The customer is getting the service and consuming the service simultaneously. So the simultaneous characteristic is the characteristic of the service or services which is provided by the optician at the VC company. At the VC company. Match the stages required to correct the step number to describe the sequence used when operating the target cost. Okay. First of all, the first step obviously develop the product concept in a target cost. The first step is to develop the concept of product, the product which you want to sell. Number two, we are talking about target costing. So in a target costing, The second step would be setting up the selling price. That at what selling price we could be able, or we will be able to sell the product. Then, after setting the selling price, you need to determine the profit margin, which is the third step. And then you need to determine the target cost, sale price minus the required margin. Then you need to identify the cost gap. And then you need to reduce the cost gap. And you will reduce the cost gap using the functional and value analysis, removing the feature of the product which are not valued by the customer, improving the functionalities in order to reduce the cost gap. So product design concept will be the first thing. Selling price will be the second thing. Required margin will be the third. Target cost will be the fourth. Cost gap will be the fifth. And elimination of the cost gap using the value analysis or functional analysis would be the last step. Okay. What is functional analysis? What is value analysis? What is activity analysis? We will discuss in the next class when we will study the theory of the target costing as well. Today we just basically discuss the target costing with respect to calculation, that how in a numerical way how we can understand the target gap and cost gap. Okay. So we have completed discussed the target cost as well. We will discuss little bit more in the next class and other topic as well. So exam kit, I have uploaded the exam kit in the chat box, and I think the book is also uploaded. Yes, the study text is also uploaded in a chat box. You can download it. Okay. So kindly do the question. I have given 6 to 7% from 34 to question 40. Do attempt. See you, and I will see you. Inshallah, we will see you again in the next week with another topic and more practice of performance management. So goodbye and take care. See you next week.